Well, we are back, ladies
We're
and
back.
gentlemen, or should I say tributes.
Yes.
Welcome to the We Are the Mutts Hunger Games live discussion. I'm Brendan DeBeldum, and this
Hello.
is
Or
my
hey, Heather.
my partner in crime. Uh, Heather, how have you been doing? I mean,
I'm good. Much better now, thank you.
yes. Heather is unfortunate has unfortunately been she's gotten down with the sickness.
I did. I was fighting for my life over allergies for a little bit there. So
You got it. For those of you who have allergies, you gotta hate it when you gotta have spring and then summer comes along and it's like a double whammy.
hmm
And we have to all but and you guys have to endure both of those seasons for 6 months. So, but it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but like it's not okay for you, Heather.
yeah, I was like, it is what it is. I was like, it's one of those things I try to prepare for, but it didn't get me as bad this time. I just couldn't talk, so or breathe too great, which doesn't make a live stream. I don't know sign language, so
Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about what what many claim kind of I don't know, like this book really blew up after Twilight.
hmm
It came out in 2008. It was it a I don't know if it was a huge hit when it was first released, or people started to discover it, but it really took off, and it became like a cultural phenomenon, much like
hmm
Twilight. Of course, we are talking about the Hunger Games, and I don't own a physical copy of the book because
Oh, I got the
yeah,
paperback.
haven't came prepared. I borrowed a copy from my library, so I don't have it on hand. But I've read this book many times, so I practically like, know the whole, know most of it through osmosis. Like, I will not lose a single detail of if we have a topic worth of discussion. But look at the elephant down the room, Heather.
Yeah,
Uh, read. This is your first read of this book
it
and of the series.
was. It was. Yeah, 2008. I was in nursing school, so I wasn't reading YA or reading much of anything if it had to do with unless it was school related. So I missed the books, but I did see the Hunger Games movie, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay in theaters. So that was my first introduction to the world of Pan Am and the Hunger Games. And yes, so now I'm catching up and reading the books now. So definitely worth the hype. They lived up because I love the movies and the books are pretty close to the
Oh,
adaptations. So that was exciting.
yes, the books are pretty much like, or I should say the movies are pretty much book accurate.
hmm
They did change. I mean, as adaptations do, they did change a couple things here and there.
hmm
But when you watch the first movie and then you read the book, it's pretty much word for word.
hmm
It's like right inside. The only thing is, um, when you're doing them, when you're in the movie, everything is outside of Katniss's perspective.
Right.
because in the book, the whole thing is taking place through her eyes and what she's seeing and what she's experiencing. Therefore, we are experiencing what she's seeing when she's in the Capitol and when she's in the games. And then in the movie, they um, they have to create this base commentary with Claudius Templesmith and I can't. I'm blanking on his name. The cynic Caesar Flickerman,
Okay.
the game show host who interviews the tributes. So the whole thing is broadcasted that way, so we get a sense of we're not a sense of what these games are really about. But when the first book came out in 2008, I was in my freshman year of high school,
Okay.
and how I discovered the books was I was reading Suzanne Collins' middle grade series, Gregor the Overlander, which it's a really cute series. It's a really cute series about a boy who um, finds himself lost in the undergrounds of like New York City, and he encounters um, like these giant animals like bats and rats and stuff like that. Where he has to, but he also has to take care of his baby sister as well.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very, it's a very middle grade story,
Hmm.
but it's good. Um, and then I heard about this other series that Suzanne Collins wrote called The Hunger Games, and I was just like, oh, that sounds really interesting. How she created this idea. I mean, she did her own spin on it, but basically, she created this idea where she combined like reality TV with like war footage,
Hmm.
and she threw in like she did the idea of the career or the tributes to like the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, where they would send these captives to be sacrificed to this monster in this giant arena. And she told this in a way that was very like apocalyptic.
Hmm.
And a lot of people were saying that the story is very much like a battle royale, which
Hmm.
I haven't read the book personally, but I can certainly see the similarities.
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't read the book. I know of it.
Okay. So we shared our history of the books. I mean, we shared our introduction to the book. Or what did you think about the book in general?
Oh, I loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was great. um, yeah, I watched the movies after I read the book just to compare, and reading the book and then watching the movies, it really fleshed out a lot of things, especially in the beginning of the movies with regards to Katniss, her sister Prim, and her mother. Because in the movies, like you said, we're not in Katniss's head. We're not getting inner dialogue from her. So watching the movies, they did a really good job. It's very gray.
Mm-hmm.
The first few scenes, it's bleak. There's no music. It's very quiet. And her mother don't have dialogue together. She's very distant, she's very cold. And I always wondered why she was like that because you don't get what she's thinking. But then in the book, the first 30 pages, it just explains all that. And it just makes it so much better when you watch the movie.
Yeah, the thing about let's talk about how Katniss is as a character.
Mhm.
Katniss Everdeen she's in a world that is particularly in an area that is borderline under starvation.
Yeah.
People are starving in District 12 because there's no food,
Mhm.
and hunting game in the surrounding wilderness is completely illegal. But what Katniss does to survive is she hunts illegally with her best friend Gale,
Mhm.
and sometimes she will trade um, her findings for things that she could like use in her home life, whether it's like use stuff for clothing, stuff where she can like trade in. They have a they have a black market in this district where you can
Mhm.
trade stuff, and sometimes she will sell squirrels to the local baker, or the other trades, or even like the um the officers that roam the district called peacekeepers, and she will sometimes sell to like the mayor's, and she's friends with the mayor's daughter. But where she is as a person in her personality, she comes across as very, I want to say, kind of like she's not really what you would call a people person.
Mhm.
She's very isolated, and she's always constantly thinking on her feet because she's living in a world that's being constantly watched on her before she even enters the games. And living in this world is pretty terrifying because you could die at a moment's notice.
Mhm.
I've seen, or I mean, I've read my fair share of like apocalyptic or dystopian stories. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say that the world of the capital and the system that these people have created is one of the more threatening and actually scariest versions of this kind of future. I
Mhm.
mean, I've read stuff like um, around this time when this came out, I read like The Maze Runner and Divergent and those kind of books. This government is so purposefully sadistic that
Mhm.
they will if they catch you, if they don't kill you, and you're like if you're doing something illegal, if you're a spy, they will turn you into an A box, which is a servant where they cut out your tongue.
Mhm.
Did you have
Yeah.
anything? Did you have anything to add for that about like
So,
the capital?
yeah, it was very interesting. I have not read many dystopian novels, YA, adult, or anything like that. I've seen Divergent, the movies. I haven't read the books. I was a little older when all these came out, so I didn't gravitate towards the young adult ones as much. But yeah, I was trying to understand. I don't know if the prequels explain it because we're thrown into this world where it's the 74th Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So it's just saying that this dystopian world is something in the future, that it was North America
Yes.
and it was taken apart by wars, weather, poverty, just massacres, different things. Population got down. I'm not sure. It would be interesting to see how the capital actually formed and then how they got the districts because there was 13 districts.
Hmm.
District 13 apparently wanted to do an uprising and so they bombed them. So now there's only 12 and that was considered like the dark times.
Yes.
So the capital in response to that rebellion from the people, that's why they created the Hunger Games where you have to take one female, one male children between the ages of 12 and 18, and they have to enter this arena.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yeah, it's just crazy to, it's like to live in a world like that. Yeah, but I was just interested to see if she's ever going to answer how it actually formed, you know, who was in charge, how they split the districts, everything like that, since this is the first one, because you're dropped in it and it's 74 years. So this is all
Yeah.
that these kids and their parents' generation has ever known. This is just their normal. And you talking about starvation. Do you know that Maslow's hierarchy of needs charts? Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
How at the very bottom is your foundation and it's just your basic needs like air, food, water, shelter, and then you go up and it's love and safety, and then it keeps going up. So it's like they keep them at that bottom level. They keep them starving so
Yeah.
that their brain and their bodies are so broken down that they're not thinking about love, getting married, having kids, um, going to school, getting jobs. All they're thinking about day to day is, or really every meal, where's my next loaf of bread coming from?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very interesting. That popped into my head when I was reading it, how that's how they're controlling them, is if that's all you're thinking about is what you're going to eat, you're not going to put up much of a fight because you can't. Your needs are not getting met.
Yes. When you measure up the districts and how, let's say the District 1 and 2 are clearly the most prosperous. They
Hmm.
are the capital favorites. They
Hmm.
are the ones who, um, it isn't whenever there's a selection for who's going to be thrown into the arena for the games, the the tributes from District 1 and 2 are clearly the ones that are getting the most fed. They are being trained since they are being trained practically for their whole lives to get
Hmm.
picked for this thing. And if they were to win, which according to the books, most more than likely they do, because they are just like they're the ones that are getting all like the rewards from the capital.
Hmm.
Um, so when something this big happens in the first book, um, that sets the capital thinking, wait, okay, so this like outlier district that we're just like it's we're keeping like our zeroing in on to constantly have, because every district in this world like contributes something to the capital, whether
Hmm.
it's like textures, grain, coal, fish. Every single district contributes something, whether they like it or not. If they try to, like you said, they try to uprise or do something else, the capital will annihilate them just like that. So this whole world is working under the capital's thumb. Um, and going back, Katniss is she has to hunt. She has learned to hunt. I believe it was her father who taught her how to hunt. Or
Hmm.
he
Yep.
did.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one that got her that bow, and that's why a lot of people don't hunt because they don't have weapons. But he was a coal miner, made money, and had a bow personally made for her, and she could sell it to get money, but it's better if she uses it to hunt.
Yeah. And she even tried to teach her sister Prim how to hunt, but Prim has more of a like softer side to her than Katniss does. Because whenever the first time they went out and shot, I think it was a deer.
Mhm.
They Prim wanted to take it back and like nurse it back to health as soon as possible before it died. But Katniss is mainly out there to sell, to hunt and sell these animals for food and other like for trading purposes. So when she goes out there and she starts hunting, she meets her friend Gail, who these two have been friends, I believe, since childhood.
Mhm.
Um, and they talk about certain things about why they don't agree with why these games exist, and Gail even brings up like the he brings up the notion of why don't they just run away from the cap? Why don't they just run away from the 12, District 12 and just live in the forest?
Mhm.
Um, what did you think about Gail's notion as uh, Gail's notion and him as a character?
Um, I mean, uh, well, let me just say, watching the movies, it's not my fault. They cast a Hemsworth, so I was already biased because I love both Liam and Chris Hemsworth. But no, he's older. I think he's 18 in the
Mm-hmm.
first book. Katniss is 16. So this is his last reaping. This is the last time that he has to participate, possibly in the Hunger Games. I like him as a character. I'm not big on the love triangle that develops. I feel like Katniss and him were more of like a brother sister or a best friend than they were romantic partners, even though they probably do have those feelings for each other. But he has good ideas and he is just getting to execute them. Like the passion is there. He wants to get out, but Katniss is kind of more, well, we can't because you have your mom and you have your younger brothers, and I have my mom because my dad died, and I've been out here hunting since I was 11, and I have a younger sister. So me and you would be fine if we left and ran away, but who's going to take care of them? They'll starve. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like Gale as a character.
I like him. I understand where he's coming from. I don't like him with her.
This is kind of silly,
No,
but
it's fine.
going back to like Twilight during this time, we all know that Twilight was kind of the one that started. Well, I don't think it started, but it kind of brought back the whole love triangle in like YA. You had your team Jacob and your team Edward, and then I think from after Twilight came out, every other YA book had to have a love triangle in it. It actually became a necessity because you had this main character who was pitted against like she had these two like love interests, and people on either side, um either either side of the camp, like they wanted this character to be with this person or they wanted her to be with this person. So that's what this whole thing started. And Hunger Games is no exception. There was a Team Gale and Team PETA thing going on.
Hmm. Yep.
I don't know. I don't even I don't even think I was on a team when these books came out. Um, I thought Gale and Peter were fine as characters. I think they were
Hmm.
both likable, but I just
They are. Yeah, I agree. I like both of them individually. Like I said, I
yeah.
just was not a fan of the love triangle as a subplot because I was like, that's not the main thing here.
someone said that maybe the reason Katniss is she doesn't have any kind of romantic attachment, at least in the first book, to the either of these two, is because she's asexual.
I
And
would go with like what I was saying about the hierarchy of needs. Like, why would she want to fall in love with someone if they're gonna die the next day?
mm,
Or if she's trying to, look for her next meal, that's not a top priority. Like she is, I need to survive. I need to survive.
yes, so you're right. And on top of that, Gale says that he would like to have kids, but
Mhm.
Katniss doesn't want children because of the world they live in.
Right.
Because if they did have kids, whether separately or together, the chances like their children's names would just go into the bowl with all the other like candidates to be thrown into the arena.
Hmm.
Like every kid's name, whether they the parents can't do crap in this world.
No.
At least not in this. At least not in the first book,
Mm-mm.
because the capital has such a like dominating hand on the whole thing. It's either you will participate, you will be thrown into this arena and fight to the death, or we will kill you. So either way, you're gonna die.
Hmm.
But the thing is, if you decide to, if you want to put your name in multiple times, which you can as an option, uh, the capital will give you like tessera and grain. I don't know what tessera is though.
Man, I kept saying the Tesseract, and I was like, "This is not Marvel, Heather. Get it together." It was the words were too close together. I don't know what Tessera is either.
I think I just assumed there was some kind of. I think it was just it's a bread or some
It's
kind of like
yeah, some
tasty
kind of
mush or something.
food or something.
That's just
Nothing. It's not even nothing fabulous either.
no. It's pretty like nothing. Whatever they get with the food, like the food they get, even like there's a point where Katniss says that she got an orange once from her father as a special treat,
Mm-hmm.
and because her family uh, they can't afford oranges or any of like those high price fruits like that. They can't even afford much. They can't even like buy anything at the bakery because that stuff is so expensive to them because they don't have any money. So they're just, they literally are just like on starvation mode.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she has to do this. So we get to the actual reaping. Um, and then we get our introduction to our two other main players, Hey Mitch and Effie.
Mm. Oh, Hamage. Here's where we come in. Pouring out for Hamage.
Um,
I'll be Team Hamage.
so the way that when you look at how Effie is like perceived when she's in District 12, because District 12, I mean not District 12, the capital, they have they come from a world full of wealth, full of high technology, and they're like the fashion there is pretty outrageous. And she arrives there and um, like this this completely gray world. Um, and she's wearing like this spring green suit, and she has like this loud pink hair,
Hmm.
and she's just not like she does not fit into this world at all. And she's gonna be like her and Hamish because Hamish is gonna be their mentor. Um, she's going to be the one to take them to the capital and basically be like the lookout for them and like what they think about her or them until they're actually put into the games. That was a pretty weak description of that character.
No, no, this is her. It's more fleshed out the further on you get in the book, but just the reaping itself, how it took so long for her to describe it before they even pulled the names out. Just like they make everybody, like it's not an option. You
Mm,
have to participate in reaping unless you're on death's door, and then the peacemakers will come in and make sure that you're really sick. Like you have to put your name into this bowl, and Katniss's younger sister Prim is 12, so it's her first reaping day. So just even them getting ready, how most of the kids wear white, like there's some kind of sacrifice because they are being offered, and just them getting clean, like they have to present themselves because they're going to be on TV to the Capitol
yeah,
looking presentable for them, and just everything that they make their parents go and watch. There was some quote I wish that I had book eared it and highlighted it, but it was talking about since the uprising, one of the worst things you can do to control people is to, punish the children of them. They're
mm,
not going to do much of anything when you have their kids out there. But yeah, Effie, she just really sticks out. And you can just tell that she comes from a place of privilege living in the capital her whole life. I'm assuming. I don't know her backstory, but in this book, just her whole look and her being so upbeat and just so loud. And like, this is a game for her, but it's not a game for them. It's just very interesting. She comes around though,
yeah.
eventually. Like, they're not really humanized to her until she gets on the train and gets to talking with them and gets super close to Katniss and Peeta. Then she realizes, like, I really don't want these kids to die.
I never really thought about Effie's backstory. That would
Yeah.
be. I mean, we just got one for Hamish. To see how Effie was brought up would be
I
kind of
know
interesting.
she's mentioned in his story because she's young, because they're close
Yeah.
to the same age.
Hamish and Effie.
Hmm.
Yeah, I believe they are. So, the reason, the reason that Katniss and her mom's relationship is so strained is because after her dad died in a mining accident, her mom basically just plummeted into like um, a state of, for good reason, like depression.
Yeah.
She was completely like she was basically like comatose,
Hmm.
and Katniss, like without her father there, she had to basically raise herself and her sister, and she didn't want um, the government officials to come and take her and her sister to the I guess
It's like their version of child protective services,
yeah,
almost like the
it's like
community.
it's like a community home, like a foster home,
Hmm.
but it's not like a pleasant one because
Yeah.
she says that the kids who live there are like they have like marks on their faces from when like adults smacked them.
Hmm.
So she doesn't want her and her sister to be taken there. So that's why she decided to be the breadwinner of the family, pun intended.
At 11,
Huh?
at 11 years old.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
She
11.
said her dad, it was one of the coldest Januaries that they had, and there was a coal mining accident, explosion, and they didn't even have bodies because they all blew up and were ash. And the district gives them 3 months worth of money. And then she said at 3 months, it's expected for the other people of the family. Like, you're sorry, your mourning time is over, grief, you got to be done, you got to get back to work after 3 months. And her mom just couldn't do it. She was in such a state of depression. And Katniss kept saying, I just got to make it to May 8th. I got to make it to May 8th because May 8th I turn 12. I can start putting my name in the reaping. But it was like 3 months later. So it's March into April. And she was talking about how sunken in her sister's cheeks were and her lips were splitting and they were starving. She's like, we're not going to make it to May 8th. But she had a little like fairy little bread boy named PETA to help her out. I thought that was crazy. 11 years old. So that'd be someone in fifth grade trying to take on the responsibility of an adult.
That's just the kind of horrific world that they live in, though.
Hmm.
And like you mentioned, the food they get in District 12 isn't really the best. But I mean, Katniss does what she does to survive because her dad taught her to um, obviously how to hunt, but also to recognize what certain plants are edible and what plants will kill you. So she makes uh, stuff that she finds around the meadows. Like she'll make like dandelion salad, and um, the first time that she meets PETA, like the very very first time, they don't even have like they don't even like speak to each other. This is when Katniss is like taking some of Prim's old baby clothes to sell, and it's raining profusely, and this is like an icy cold rain,
Hmm.
and she falls outside by an old tree by the bakery, and she's just done. I mean, she's just completely worn out. She's like, just let them take us to like the community home. I don't care. Just let me die in this rain.
Hmm.
And then she hears a commotion in the bakery, and she looks up to see that PETA, whether it will intentionally or not, burn the bread, and his mother, which fuck his mom.
Yeah, you didn't get much about her, but everything you got on her was terrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, fuck that witch. That's what they called her. The witch.
I mean, her dad. I mean, PETA's dad was a loving person, but
Hmm.
him and Katniss, like when after she volunteers, their moment together is just like pretty much silence. But you could tell that he actually cares more for PETA than the mother did. And when Katniss and PETA first unofficially meet, PETA throws the burned bread out to her, and it's like still toasting hot, and she like clings to life. She like clings it to her chest for life. And way that like Suzanne describes this like basic loaf of bread.
Hmm.
It's just a basic bread. The way she describes it, you can almost sense like your mouth was salivating, just like wanting to taste this bread, because she said it had like nuts in it, and it had like I guess like a cinnamony flavor.
Hmm.
It was very sweet. It's like And this is still in District 12. We haven't even gotten to like the lavish like capital food yet. But did you have anything you wanted to add about that?
I don't know. I think we got pretty much got the backstory up until them getting picked. I think that covered pretty much everything.
Yes. So we get to the reaping, and Katniss has done everything in her power to make sure that Prim never gets she doesn't get chosen on her first reaping. She doesn't allow her to put her name to draw her name to draw for more tesserae. But she does end up getting picked anyways.
How
Oh,
unlucky was that?
hang on. My someone's knocking.
Knock, knock, knocking. Mm.
So
Yeah, Katniss, she said 20 of the slips, her name was in there 20 times. And Gail's name was in there 42 times. And their population in District 12 is only 8,000. So out of the thousands and thousands of children's slips, Prim was because it her is her first year. Her name's only in there once,
mm-hmm.
and hers is the slip that got chosen.
Yeah. You just imagine that. If you're a parent or you're you're an older sibling of someone who's younger, and this is their first briefing. Can you imagine the gut punch it would you would feel if you heard your child's name or your sibling's name be called out? Like, for example, what if Roman's name was called out?
I know.
And would you volunteer to take his place?
I was like, I couldn't. That was like, I'm his mom. I couldn't. I would be too old. As I was like, I have two younger brothers. I'm the oldest of three. Um, I'm 6 years older than one, 9 years older than the other. I was like, but I don't know. They would probably have a better chance than I would in the Hunger Games. But being that big of a gap, yeah, I would like to say that I would volunteer for them. Our house would probably be better if they didn't go and they were able to stay and work and get food. That's a tough spot.
It really is. It just it makes you think about like, okay, what would I do if I were in this situation? Would I volunteer or would I let my younger siblings like just basically go to their death? Like,
Yeah, which one of us would be better? Who would be better to die, or who could possibly be a better survivor in that situation?
I think in another reality, like if the events didn't play out as they did in the book when Katniss volunteers to save her sister, this is going to sound a little mean, but look at Prim's like size and stature.
Oh, yeah. She said she wasn't even
She,
70 pounds soaking wet.
I mean, she could probably survive a day. I mean, she doesn't. I don't know if she has like she has like the same like apothecary skills that her mom does. Like she's
Hmm.
very good with medicine and like um she understands like what plants to use for medicinal herbs. Like I get that, but could she hunt? Could she survive in the games on her own against like these giant 18-year-old tributes and these girls who can like kill you 20 different ways with a knife?
Hmm.
She has like a similar stature and size to Rue. But Rue was really smart and she wasn't a fighter, she was a gatherer.
Hmm.
But she made it pretty far into the games. But yeah, that's what happens. And I read I was listening to this on audiobook, and I will say that when the moment came where Katniss shouts, "I volunteer as tribute," I could not help but think of J Law saying that in my head.
Hmm.
The way she just says it in the movie, I was just like, that is totally Katniss. Just like
Yeah.
that panic and like that desperation to save her sister.
It's like she disassociates for a minute
Hmm.
when they call her name because everyone is silent. They can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so Prim is, going up on stage, and that's when Katniss kind of snaps out of it and she just volunteers. No one's volunteered from District 12 because, you know, there's only been two winners in 74 Hunger Games from District 12.
Yes.
They're at a disadvantage. So to have a volunteer, and then Effie is more concerned with the way she volunteered because there's policy and procedure. You're supposed to let the tribute that got called go up on stage, and then she's supposed to ask if anyone would like to volunteer. Just again, her not really seeing these as people, they're just pawns in a game for entertainment to them.
Right.
I didn't see that coming in the movie. I just assumed Katniss was going to get called. So it was shocking when her sister got pulled.
Yeah. I mean, I read the book. I read the book before I
You read
saw.
it before, yeah.
I read the book before I saw the movie. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that guy.
No, it's fine. I was like, there's movies that I've read the book, and I'm like, well, I know what's gonna happen if they.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just you know exactly when you read the book. You know what's coming. So it was interesting to see it from like a person who's seen the movies and then read the books first. Like they were shocked or surprised when that happened.
Then poor PETA, his name gets called.
Yeah.
He's got two brothers, but neither one of them volunteer for him. She said one of them was older, that he couldn't, but he had one or two younger brothers. So I mean, I was like, I can't blame anyone. These are children. Like, I can't even get mad at some of the more unlikable characters,
Yeah.
even those from districts 1 and 2, because they were made this way. Like, they don't know any better. They were groomed for this. Like, none of this is their fault. They're all victims too. So even the ones that you're supposed to hate in this first Hunger Games, I couldn't hate. I just felt bad for all of them being there because no one wanted to be there. None of them wanted to kill each other.
Well,
A couple of them probably did because they were groomed since, they were younger and that's all they know.
Definitely the tributes from 1, 2, and maybe 4 too,
Mhm.
because they view winning this competition uh, as a victory. It's like something that they've been training their whole lives for, to do just this one event. So after the reaping, and we already talked about Katniss and Peeta's interactions with each other, their history. Katniss has said her goodbyes. This is what they do. They allow your loved ones to say goodbye to you in like the private offices of the. Um, I want to say it's the Hall of Justice,
Yeah, it's like the
City
town
Hall.
square, so it's a city hall or the mayor's office or something. Very official, not, anything comforting or sentimental or anything, and it's 5 minutes.
I think. I think Gale is the only one that gets like 5 minutes with Katniss to say goodbye.
Yeah. It was super short.
He tells her that he gives her like some confidence that she can possibly win this. That uh, both her and I keep forgetting their names.
Oh,
Prim,
her and Peeta.
her and Prim,
Uh-huh.
or him and Prim give her some like confidence that maybe she could win this, but she's kind of thinking, well, like there are these kids are like the older kids who come from like the wealthier districts. They're basically killers. Like,
She's already in game mode though, because when she volunteered and she said she wasn't going to cry because everyone was watching. And
yeah,
so she immediately said, I don't want them to see me as weak.
yes,
So she waits until, she's alone in her bedroom. And then she like goes in on her mom when Prim
yeah.
and her mom come in there. She's like, you cannot do this again. You have to be here. I'm not going to be here. Prim needs you. Don't do what you did last time. And her mom's like, okay, okay. I was like, oh, that's what I was saying. Not knowing the backstory of her dad and all that they went through. I'm like, this girl is yelling at her mom. And you don't really know why. But then reading the book, you're like, oh, yeah, okay. She needed a good talking to.
Yeah, she was just you understand like given like the circumstances of what happened after her dad passed. Like she was raising her and Prim by herself because her mom was like catatonic basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can understand from like Katniss's perspective why she would be so upset and like enraged with her mother, and she tells her like no matter what happens or like what you see on screen, you need to be there for Prim. Understandable, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
So to fast forward a little bit, we get to the capital after some um, there's stuff that happens on the train. Like Katniss and Peeta officially meet Haymitch, and of course he's intoxicated because that's what he became after after his games, because a lot happened in his games. I haven't read uh, Sunrise on the Reaping yet, so I only know that little bit that they discuss in Catching Fire, which I won't spoil what happens for you, but
Yeah, I know it's the second quarter quill. So it's the 50th Hunger Games. But for some reason, they had more tributes in his game. There's 48 of them instead of 24. That's all I know.
His games are crazy. That's all I can say for that.
He's seen some shit.
Hmm.
That's why.
So they meet Hey Mitch, and he. I just hit my mic.
I know. I was like, oh no. There we go.
Well, what I was saying was he gives them like the gist of what to do and like how to survive when you're in the games, and then there are the way to get things when you're in the arena, whether it's like medicine or water or like stuff to keep you warm at night, is through sponsors. If they like you enough, they will send you gifts.
Hmm.
Kind of like they're kind of like a PayPal.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and Katniss gets a little bit of a taste of what capital life is like when she's on the train, because this is a capital model train, and it's the kind that flies through the country. Like it goes. I think the number she said was these trains go. They go up to like 250 miles an hour. Like
Yes. Something
like
crazy
one of
fast.
those high tech bullet trains.
Hmm.
And she gets a little taste of what capital life is like, starting with how she describes the showers. And she comes from a very like poverty stricken district, so they don't have showers in their district. They have to use like they boil water. Um, yeah, it's like on the
Yeah.
worst.
They didn't even have coffee, even though her mom loves coffee, but they couldn't afford it. She didn't hot chocolate. That was her first time having hot chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Like the jellies on the bread, just
Mm-hmm.
this whole plate of food that will probably feed her and her family for a whole week. It's just so abundant.
Yeah, because there's the capital is so rich and lavish. Like they if you're living in the capital, you don't have to worry about starvation because you literally can press a button or like speak into a mouthpiece what you're hungry for,
Hmm.
and the dish will arrive within your hands within like seconds. That's how high tech they are, and you could kind of see a little bit of a parallel with our country. Not to get like too political, I mean, there was some politics in this series, but you could see like some of the parallels with like how the country is being run right now.
Hmm.
How my mom, like, she always jokes about how, given the rise in pricing and like inflation, she says that we're going to be going into the Hunger Games soon.
I hope not.
It's just like, yeah, because the inflation is going up, and uh, there are those people who actually are starving, and there's like that, I guess, like the 1% who are like thriving because they don't have to worry about like starvation and all that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, Katniss said something about how the people at the Capitol, they look at aging different
Hmm.
than the districts do. They'll get plastic surgery.
Yeah,
They don't like wrinkles. They don't like getting gray hairs. They don't like getting fatter. and she's looking at her district, and she said that if you got older, it was a privilege out in the districts because most of the people starved to death out there, and that they were all skinny. They didn't really care what they looked like. They were just trying to get by. So she's just saying it's just very interesting. This the priorities were so different that if they had older people out in the districts, they were honored just because they made it that far.
Right. It's just like a different. It's just like a different class of people entirely in the capital compared to how the districts are being like run by
Hmm.
those by the government officials. Um, but yeah, it's like interesting to see, like again, it's interesting to see everything through Katniss's perspective because this is only just the first book, and we're being introduced to this like this weird and colorful world that the capital is about. They're obsessed with like appearance, and they're obsessed with status. So she gets a take. So Katniss like gets she becomes like fully when the district when like the careers arrive to the capital, they go into this thing called the remake center where they are completely like remade for the capital's presentation, meaning that the girls specifically are they're stripped of all their body hair and they're rubbed down with moisturizer
Hmm.
because they want to make them look appealing and not like how they looked from when they were coming from their respective districts.
Yeah, that's when we meet Cinna.
Yeah,
Each one of them has a stylist to
Cinnabon.
help. Hmm.
Yes, Katniss like her conversations with Cinna are they're very interesting because Cinna is not like he's from the capital, but at the same time he's not. He's not like she describes him as kind of flamboyant. The
Hmm.
only really the only really alteration that Cinna has on him that uh, given I'm like losing my mind. I'm just like
That's okay.
I'm
You'll get there.
literally just like I went to bed late last night, so I'm just like my brain is just like all over the place.
Oh, no worries. I was gonna say no. I was like, I got talked in there, and I was like, I don't know if I answered the questions.
Uh,
It's all right. We'll get there.
okay, so Cinna and Katniss's relationship interesting because like I said, he's from the capital, but he's not brought up by the capital standards. He doesn't look like everyone else except for some gold eyeliner like on his eyes. But that's the only alteration he has to his body. And I would just say that I did like Senna.
I do too.
You could see he was really on the good side of things. Like he didn't really believe in like the capital's I don't want to say motives because they're not motives. They you know what the capital is all about and how like people just don't agree with it.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I'm saying. So Cinna helps create for the tribute parade, the first one. Cinna helps create Katniss and Peeta's costume, which since they come from District 12, he wants to do something that's like flammable. But he creates like this. He creates what I think are these like black leotard costumes
Hmm.
with synthetic flames. And how this they did this really cool in the movie, like how they
Yeah, they
did it,
do.
because Katniss says that every like more than likely every their costumes would be like coal miners outfits.
Yeah. He does a really good job because they're from District 12. Like she said, the whole point before they get to the games is getting sponsors, and capital people like things that are pretty. And they can't wear just any coal miner outfits. They can't just throw coal dust on them. So Cinna did a really good job making them like that's how she got her girl on fire tagline that stayed with her through the rest of the series. It made a statement for all the and for like everyone else. I think they had the best outfits.
And tell me, whenever Rihanna's "A Girl on Fire" plays on the radio, tell me you cannot think of like
I know.
one. It's just impossible to not think of the story when that song comes on. Okay, so what else should we what else should we talk about with this book? I mean, we got through, I think, pretty much everyone unanimously has read the Hunger Games, so they know exactly what's like what happens, whether they read the book or they saw the movies.
As I say, if you haven't read the book, definitely the movie for people that are not really big readers. That's how I got introduced to what it was. The movies were just such this big cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I remember when the movies were coming out, how massive like the hype was for it. Um, we were just like obsessing over like what the games were gonna look like, what the world was gonna look like, who was gonna play who. It was just crazy.
Hmm.
Like we were, um, a little known fact. Originally the Marietta Walsh was actually going to. She was in the running to play Katniss.
Really?
Do you know who that is?
No.
She was
I would have to see a picture. I was like, the name sounds familiar, but I
she
can't place it. Her face.
she was the main mean girl in Mean Girls 2.
Okay.
She was the one, like she had like the dark she had like the olive skin and like the curly hair.
Hmm.
She was like the main mean girl in the sequel.
Okay.
She was also like in Corey in the House, and
Okay.
that's
Yeah, I
all
know
I
her.
really.
I never knew her name.
Yeah. Um yeah, she was gonna like originally she almost got the part of Katniss because she looks how Katniss is described in the book. Katniss is described as having like dark hair, olive skin, and but she didn't get it. She did play the parody of her in the Starving Games.
Oh, okay.
Funnily
I
enough.
haven't seen that. I've
Um,
heard about it. I've not seen it.
it's honestly, I'm personally not a fan of those like Seltzer and Freeberg parodies.
Hmm.
Um, that one though, It's not terrible. It's actually there are some jokes in it that are actually pretty funny because it's like just like Twilight, man. Like it go like Twilight and Hunger Games, they were like the dominating thing to uh reference and parody around that time.
Mhm.
So of course they were gonna make like a full on parody about it. It's
So if you were dropped in the Hunger Games, in the games that Katniss and them played, it was more woodsy.
mm,
How long do you think you would survive for with your skill set?
I wouldn't. Well, I know I. That's a that is a good question.
I was just thinking about
Would
it.
I go into like the cornucopia bloodbath and start like killing the other contestants just to get like the necessary equipment?
Yeah, that's like a week or so later. You had to make it that far.
I mean, like when the games first start, because
Hmm.
that's how they draw you in.
Yeah, like after the 60 seconds.
Yeah,
How many people was it? Like almost half got taken out in the first
yeah.
5 minutes?
I think it was like
10 or
20 total.
11, yeah,
There was like
got taken out.
I want to say like it was like a quarter of them.
Yeah,
They were like from the younger ones ages though.
I might survive a day. I already know. I was like, I don't go camping, so I don't know how to make a fire. I don't know what plants to eat and what not to eat, what berries to eat and what not to eat. And then come nightfall, I have sleep apnea, so I couldn't bring my machine. So as soon as I fell asleep and I'm snoring, I would be dead. No sunscreen, I would burn up. I get poison ivy all over me. This particular setting, I would be done. Maybe a day.
Well, which setting? Because when they create the games, they can range from anything to to a desert to like a frozen tundra to like a island like location.
Yeah, it can never use the same twice. It's
So
always something different.
so if you found yourself in one of these games, what kind of arena would you expect to be? What kind of arena would you expect to find yourself in?
I would prefer somewhere colder.
Hmm.
As like I get hot easy, so I would do better. I don't think I would freeze to death probably faster than people. The only thing I would have going for me is I can run pretty fast. That's about it. Like Rue, they have to catch me first.
So you're not? Are you a fighter?
I've never been in a fight in my life, so not physically, no.
I think I could hold my own against some of the District 1 and 2 tributes. Because
I
I
probably
do.
could some of the girls if they're from, the outlining areas and they're starving because I'm
Hmm.
bigger. So,
Could you fight against a female tribute from like 2 or 1 though? Or
if I was 16 again,
maybe like
probably,
7.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I was gonna say I ran track in high school and did weightlifting and stuff. I was actually in pretty good shape until college, so maybe back then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to camps. I've been
Mhm.
camping before, but what I think I'd survive. I think I could survive as long as I could. I don't know if I would win though.
Yeah, I was
I
like, I
just
already know. There's no way I would not win.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to make traps. Just like
Exactly.
I can't like I don't know that much about like plant life, so I don't know like what plants would kill me if I ate them or the berries. I think I would just if I couldn't find water like Katniss, you know, my that's another thing. When Katniss
Hmm.
was like first thrown into the games and she's like dehydrating because she gets a backpack from one of the tributes that she fights over with. That makes sense. She fights a tribute and to get a backpack, and he ends up dying because the tribute from District Two, Clove,
Hmm.
she throws him like he gets knifed in the back from her, and and then she gets a spare knife because she throws her knife into her bag, so now she has a knife on her. But this Katniss is like she's just like wandering through the woods, like constantly in thought and constantly on her feet. She's just like she's also in the very close brink of dehydration because they gave her a water bottle, but they didn't give her any water.
Right.
I would, I, I think that would be me. I think I would just die of dehydration because I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm the kind, I just, I need constant water. I'm just like, I get so dehydrated so easily.
Yeah.
I, literally, just this past week when I went to the theater, I took my water with me, and I was just like chugging it, and like I think nearly like early on in the movie, I'm just like, oh my god, this water bottle is empty, so I had to go out into the lobby and fill it up in the drinking fountain because I was just so thirsty. It's like gonna, that's how I would die. I think I would just die of dehydration, Heather.
Well, that's what they were saying. Like the first few games, they kind of made them, they modified them because a lot of people died of exposure or dehydration
Yeah.
before the tributes even killed them. And it's like you can survive maybe 2 days without water,
Hmm.
and then you're going to dehydrate. You can survive a little longer without food, but I don't know. I would probably be too damn loud in the woods, tripping over something. It's not a good look. I already knew that. I was like, oh man.
I think it would be the same way. I think I would be like, I'm always tripping. I'm always knocking something over. I would just not survive. I would not
I
survive that.
know.
So, what else should we talk about? Should we go back more into like the lead up to the games, or should we just like jump directly into the games themselves?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much at the games.
She's like, yeah, this is familiar territory for Katniss because District 12 is surrounded by woods. So she knows like pretty much the environment, but even this is kind of new territory for her because these aren't her woods. These are like a fiction. This is like a manufactured woods made by the capital.
Yeah, yeah, it's not fair. They have genetically modified animals,
Mm-hmm.
plants, the whole arena. if the tributes are being too boring, they can alter the environment. So that's what I'm saying. They go in, and none of them are winners, really.
So, there's one in particular scene I would like to talk about. It's actually one of my favorite moments in the book, and
Hmm.
that is the Tracker Jacker scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, how this occurs is Katniss finds herself being hunted down by the tributes from 1 and 2 after she escapes from a wall of fire, literally like burning down, like chasing her and burning down the forest. But it's like it's a wall of fire, but it's also like like there's like unseen things like cannons, like or something droids. I
Hmm.
don't know, like launching fireballs at her, and she gets like scorched by one on her leg. And now she has to worry about infection because
Yeah.
searing freaking pain. I hate. I know. I don't know if you've ever been burned by like fire or just like boiling water or something like that, but worst freaking pain imaginable.
Yeah. The way it described it, it sounded like a second degree burn because it blistered. And
Mm,
that's what she was saying was first and second degree burns are usually worse because it affects the nerves. If you
yeah.
get burned too bad, you go into third degree where it goes down to the muscle and bone and your nerves are completely gone. So it's not as painful. You're more apt to get infection, but second degree is awful because your nerves are just exposed and raw and you feel everything.
Yeah, the way that Collins writes this stuff, it's just like you could feel it. You can feel how painful this is.
Hmm.
So after that, like searing moment, she finds herself being chased up a tree from the career tributes, and she's forced to like this is after like she like realizes that PETA has joined the careers because he early on in the book he said that he doesn't want to train with her anymore
Hmm.
because there can only be one winner.
Right.
So he joins them, and she uses the stuff that she has found in her bag when she took it from the cornucopia, and she sees Rue up in a tree, and she's pointing at something, and it turns out to be a tracker jacker nest. Tracker jackers are the capitals like what Katniss refers to as like mutations.
Hmm.
Like you said, they're genetically enhanced animals to either benefit the capital or such. And these things, when they sting you, they cause severe hallucinations.
Yeah. Pain, hallucinations, and then tracking whoever bothers them. They get your scent and they keep attacking whatever it is. Because that's, I know, I was like, oh my gosh, because she had to be extremely careful cutting it down. Because one wrong slip, if the hive got disturbed and they saw her, it would go sideways and attack her instead of what her plan was for the tributes below her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think the visuals, both in the book and the movie, I will say for the movie, I was a little bit disappointed in. like the hallucinations of the tracker jackers. I mean, you got the idea down, like it
Mhm.
was presented well, but how I think it was just like how crazy could it be if they presented the images that Katniss was seeing after she got like stung multiple times, like
Mhm.
she was seeing like butterflies that were ballooned up to the size of a house. She was
Yeah.
seeing like uh, blood and like the trees turned to blood and orange like fizzling bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. This movie's PG-13, so I wonder if they had to hold back a little bit because it was for a younger audience and not R, that they couldn't get too crazy.
Yeah, that's one of the that's one of the faults of the book to me. Like had it not been like had it not been YA, if this was like a fully fledged like adult novel, just with I mean at times it does feel like an adult novel. It's
Hmm.
just like but it just has like younger kids in it.
Yeah, and they're doing adult things. The only thing YA about it is they're kids. That's it.
Yeah. I just think it's like if they went ahead and made this movie like full on R, they probably would have lost like the majority of like their core audience, which is
Yeah.
teenagers.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if they could have like gone ahead and like really shown like the graphic nature of like some of the deaths in this book, holy shit, this could have been like really
Been,
really cool.
been like Saw. That's the adult version. Just watch the Saw game, all the games and traps.
I think it's still a good movie regardless.
Oh yeah, it
It,
is. It's
it
good.
could
I'm
have been like
glad younger people can watch it,
yeah,
but the concept is horrific in itself. It didn't really need a lot of graphic gore because of the psychological terror.
mm-hmm. So I think it's the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is like it is like the adult version, right? Or is
I
it
don't.
white?
Uh, I think it's still YA.
Hmm, I don't know. I, I just heard I think it was adult. Like the first adult Hunger Games because it's like the audience that grew up with like the trilogy or obviously when that book came out they're older now,
Hmm.
so maybe she was allowed. That's not to say that like the kills and like the deaths in the book weren't like adult because they are. It's just like what I'm saying is maybe she the book could have been like more adult in a sense had they like cut out the whole love triangle of ness of it.
Yeah.
So I'm at a loss. Like, is there anything else you want to talk about? Because we're only like we're like an hour and 30 into this review.
Oh
or
my
the
gosh.
I'm so sorry.
The scene with Rue was like the saddest thing ever.
Oh my god, yes.
I hated it. I knew it was coming,
Oh,
but you forget for a little bit because she sees Rue in the tree and Rue's like, "Hey," and so she cuts down the tracker jacker nest. It falls. It takes out Glimmer. And she,
mhm.
that's what I was laughing. She's like, "Oh, the districts 1 and 2 name their kids the stupidest names because you got Kato, Glimmer, Clove. I don't know the other ones' names, but she was able to get the bow and arrow from her because she got stung so much her neck swelled. But her and Rue ended up forming an alliance Katniss got stung 3 or 4 times, so Rue actually had to tend to her for 2 days. She was out unconscious. She had to change her dressings where she got stung. She tried to give her water, tried to give her food, and then they ended up for like 2 or 3 days just being the two of them, eating dinner, hunting together, making a plan, and unfortunately, Rue doesn't make it. That whole scene with her, she gets impaled with a spear.
Mm.
And that's when Katniss kills her first person. She shoots the District 1 tribute with an arrow and kills him. And she sings Rue to sleep
Oh my
and puts
god.
flowers all around her and then does her left hand
Turn the salute.
to salute to District 11, and they just come and take their bodies, for burial. But it was so sad because I forgot we were in the Hunger Games, that like 20-25 pages. It was just like two friends out in the woods camping. They're, she's like, she's so much like Prim. And even Katniss was saying, what if we make it to the end? I can't kill her if it's just
Yeah,
me and Rue.
yeah, because there could only be one victor.
Hmm. Allegedly.
People will say regarding Rue's death, I did like it a little bit better in the book.
Hmm.
I mean, the emotion of it was there in the movie. Don't get me wrong, but hmm, just like the intensity of the moment where it's so quick in the movie. Like she takes out I forgot his name too. Jack Quaid's character.
Yeah.
She takes him out. Not it's so like it doesn't the arrow doesn't go in his throat though, and like he gets shot in the heart, so it's not as gory. Um, but then she like pulls the spear out of her, and then she just like falls. I mean, in the book, Cat. I mean, Rue is like entangled in the net, and then she's like the spear is like thrown like heavily thrusted right into her stomach, and Katniss says that she can't get the spear out.
Because
And
it was embedded so deep.
yeah,
Mm.
just like the graphicness and the gruesomeness of that scene, and the funeral scene, like after Rue dies, it's like it was handled well. I'm just thinking, I wish it was a little more primitive. Had the spears not been like capital artificial, where they were like steel,
Hmm.
had they been more like manufactured or like made like a real hunting spear.
Yeah, like they
I,
made them out there while they were in the woods.
yeah, I'm saying it could have been a whole lot better. There's a there was like a YouTube short film that came out years ago, like showcased this scene, and it was exactly how I thought the it looked in the book. It was just like this little brief scene that showed Rue's death, but it was so good, and I don't know, just after that, obviously, after she does the salutes, we see the movie cuts back to District 11 where people are beginning to uprise because they were so mad for good reason that someone from their district had lost and they just had enough of it.
Yeah. Then they make an announcement that there could possibly be two victors because Katniss and Peeta did this whole star-crossed lovers thing that he was in love with her, that he always admired her and loved her from afar and has been playing the long game. And he's like, it's just sad because the person I love, I came here with, they made an announcement that if you were from the same district, there could be two winners this year. So I think District 2 and District 12 were the two remaining that both had their tributes. But yeah, the careers turned on PETA, and they were talking about Cato used a sword and stabbed him in the upper thigh. And he's like, he's probably out bleeding in the woods somewhere. And Katniss is like, well, he can't survive without water. So let me go look by the lake, by the creek. And because he did the frosting on the cakes at the bakery, he was able to camouflage himself. And so she found him. But yeah, he had blood poisoning and was infected. So, but they agreed to play it up for the cameras. So they were able to get medication for him. I thought that played out really well in the movie. How he was injured, he couldn't leave, but they had the bloodbath at the cornucopia. There's something there that each one of you need in
Yeah,
a backpack to lure them all together, like the final five of them. And so she had to go and retrieve this medicine for him, or he would die out there from infection. That was a good scene too, because she was about to die by the girl from two, but the girl from two ran her mouth and mentioned Rue's name, and
yeah,
Thrash overheard her.
hmm
They did that really well because he was really big,
yeah,
and the actress that played the girl in Orphan, and Clove in District 2, he picked her up like she was a rag doll and
yeah,
slung her around. He's like, you killed her, and he spared Katniss because she showed mercy and was so kind to Rue.
yeah. Thresh, him and Cat, like him and Katniss didn't really have much speaking in like prior to the games, but this is their only this is their like only interaction to each other in like the whole duration of the games. And again, I know it's PG-13,
I know.
but okay, Clove's death was so freaking disappointing in the movie. In
Do you
the
think
book,
so?
I
He
I mean, compared to
was more brute strength. He didn't use a weapon on
no,
her. He used a rock and bashed her head in.
yes, it's in the book. It was more brutal. Like he crushed her head with a freaking boulder. In the movie, he slams her head against the cornucopia,
Hmm.
and we don't even see it.
Yeah.
It's freaking. We hear like the crunch and like the wet crack of her like skull being bashed, but I don't know. I just thought that was underwhelming. And then like in the book, like Kato comes out to like mourn her after Thresh kills her. Um, and I didn't. He didn't even do that in the movie. And that was they gave like Kato's whole motive to go after Thresh and to kill him because he killed her like partner in the games.
Hmm.
So yeah, but the stuff in the cave again, we got the whole. It was interesting because we see we are like constantly seeing the inner workings of Katniss's mind as she's like analyzing every single situation that she's in. She's constantly thinking on her feet, and her mind is never like a moment. There's a few like lull moments in the book where nothing really is happening, where she's just kind of like sitting in a tree or sitting by like a log or something, just counting whatever supply she has left until like the action starts up again. But you understand, like there's a lot of lull moments and like a situation like this where they're not
Hmm.
gonna like keep everyone entertained all the time.
Yeah. And she was trying to hide. She wasn't being an active participant. She was just trying to, you know, not kill people. But and they brought the fight to her. So yeah, there was times where she's thinking about back home or just chilling in a tree.
I almost forgot to mention the character of Foxface.
I know. I really liked her
She,
because she just made it to the final four.
yeah, how? Because she was just hiding. She was hiding. She wasn't like fighting anyone. She was just stealthily like analyzing situations. She was very intelligent with that, like
Mhm.
very statistical. Um, Unfortunately, like at the very end, you would think that if if Katniss and Peeta didn't make it, she would probably win the games just by sheer, just I don't know, just acknowledge, just she's just smart.
Mhm.
She's smart. She understands things and like complex things that she didn't know about the berries.
I know.
Hmm. All right, so what else should we talk about? Like, we talked a little bit about the romance in quotes,
Mhm.
between Katniss and Peeta, because because Peeta was really like in love with her, but Katniss was like nursing him back to health, and in her mind, she was doing this as a way to get him home to safety,
Mhm.
because she was that was all that was the only thing on her mind.
Yeah. The genetically engineered dogs that they made
Yeah,
were a lot scarier than Mutts in the book because they had the eyes and facial features of their fallen tributes that had already died. And that's what took out Thresh. He got attacked by those dogs, and then it was down to Peeta,
I
Katniss,
think
and Kato.
I think Kato was the one who killed Thresh in the book.
Was he? Oh, okay. I couldn't remember in
Yeah,
the book and the movie. I was like, Thresh's death is kind of off screen.
yeah,
You just
I
hear him
was.
yelling, and then the cannon goes off and his picture's in the sky. And I couldn't remember if Kato had killed him or if the dogs got a hold of him before Kato got to him.
I'm pretty sure it was Kato. Because after that, all that's left is Kato, Katniss, and Peeta. And they have like this. They have this battle on top. Well, it's not really a battle, but they have like this confrontation on top of the cornucopia, and Kato ultimately dies because he's wearing some kind of capital armor that was again independent impenetrable by Katniss's arrows. So he dies, And then when Katniss and Peter are the only ones left, the Capitol decides to revoke their last statement about there being true tributes being
I
allowed
know.
to survive
Isn't that crazy? How do you change the rules so many times in the arena?
because they're assholes.
I know, I know. They're like, well, fine. We'll just kill ourselves.
We'll just like
And
we'll
you won't have a winner. Which that was really smart on their part. If they didn't have a winner, there would have been an uprising right there. Because I think Snow said that to the game maker. Why even have the games at all? Why not just take the tributes, line them all up, and shoot them and kill them every year? It would be a lot easier. It would be a lot quicker. But the games give people hope and give them a little something to look forward to that their family could possibly, you know, be wealthy the rest of their lives if they win.
yeah, you're right. So, but when Cat like the thing is with Katniss is playing up the romance with Peeta in the cave. Now the Capitol is watching this. They believe that they really are like a star-crossed lovers,
Hmm.
and
They
so
were rooting for them.
yeah. So after they both come out of the games alive, um, she has to continue playing up this game with Peeta, or she has to at least like she has to tell Peeta what is really happening, and Peeta is kind of sore about the whole situation because he really believed that Katniss was in love with him, but she was doing everything she could to keep him alive.
Hmm.
So yeah, they go home and um, in a turn of events, I won't spoil what happens since you have to read Catching Fire next.
Yeah.
I won't spoil what happens, but there's some things that are coming that have sparked a um, because of Katniss and Peeta's actions and the arena with the berries.
Hmm.
They're not going to get out of this unscathed, as well. Although I will say,
I'm excited for Catching Fire. That's my favorite movie out of all five of them so far. So I'm excited to
mm,
read that book.
I will say it's like Catching Fire is definitely the best movie. I haven't seen the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet, so or haven't seen the movie, haven't read the book.
Hmm.
But as the movies go, I think that is the best one.
Yeah.
It's
The stakes are higher. I love Finnick. I love Joanna. All the
plus
characters just, and then all the victors, just them dealing with, even though all of them technically won the games, they didn't really win. They all have such bad PTSD. It's just amazing how they show that.
yeah, it's really well explored in the movies.
Just them having to do the victory tour
Yeah.
at the beginning, how incredibly cruel.
So yeah, you've seen the movies, so
Hmm. Yeah.
pretty much you have an idea what's like going to happen in the books.
Hmm.
But it's still worth reading the books just to see how like you compare the two.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed different in this book is her friend Mage, which was the mayor's daughter, that gave her the pen in the beginning, that the mayor really liked strawberries. Those characters were not really shown in the movie. That she got the
Yeah.
pen at the trading center, the Hob. And then at the end of this book, after they won and her and Peta are in the medical center and they're getting them you know, ready to go presentable because they're all beat up. There was a scene in there where they wanted to give Katniss breast implants. And Hamish stuck up for her and was like, she's 16, she's medicated, you're not going to surgically alter her without her consent. And so they said the middle ground was she was in that yellow dress that had more padding in the chest area. I thought that was so weird in the book. They didn't show that in the movie, but that was so bizarre that that's what they were worried about was she looked too skinny and didn't look feminine enough that that's what we're going to do is put breast implants in this girl that almost died in these games like because they're so vapid and shallow.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I was glad Heyman stuck up for her though.
So yeah, any closing thoughts on the Hunger Games book?
I loved it. I'm really glad that I read it. I'm glad you suggested it. I wish I would have read it when I was younger,
Mm,
but it's still really good. Like, I'm excited for when my kids get a little older and they're able to read chapter books like this.
yeah. I think it's. I haven't read these books since I think 2013.
Hmm.
So been a, it's been well over 10 years since I read at least Mockingjay. Um, I wanted to do this as an experiment to kind of like I loved these books when I was in high school, but I wanted to take a break from it and just, like kind of see if my thoughts on them have changed since I got older.
Hmm.
Like I wanted to revisit them to see if they were like hold up or not. Or obviously they're great books, but I just wanted to see if it would like things would change between like what like I was reading then and like the stuff I'm reading now. I I really liked this book a lot more as an adult.
Hmm.
I mean, it does still have that kind of a little bit of a YA flavor to it, but at the same time, it's very very much adult.
Hmm.
And just like its themes, its like psychological nature of its characters, it's like the graphicness of it. I think it's a very interesting book to explore and discuss. And the second book, it gets a lot better because of like everything that occurred in the first book. It's one of those books that doesn't really feel like a rehash of the first one. It feels like it's more organically like evolving from the second book and its
Hmm.
characters. Now I just have to like read Mockingjay through Sunrise.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my library to get a copy of Sunrise on the Reaping. I can't wait to see how fucked up it's gonna be.
Yeah, I
It's all
think
like,
that one's gonna be so emotional. Well, I'm
oh my
excited
god.
that she's doing prequels because I would really like to see Finnick's game, and I
Mm,
would really like to see Joanna's game, just because Finnick was the
yeah,
youngest one. He won his games at 14, and Joanna is just hilarious.
yeah.
She's so unhinged. I would like to see hers. And then, yeah, I know, and there's just what they went through after they won. There's a lot of stuff that even watching the movies recently, I didn't really pick up on. And I rewatched them and I was like, oh my gosh, Suzanne Collins went there.
Mm. I think this is what think this is what she'll primarily be known for in her career.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I didn't know she wrote anything else besides these until you
Yeah,
said it.
yeah. She wrote like she started writing middle grade, and then she moved to this. And between like Mockingjay, which came out in 20 2010, it came out
Hmm.
in 2010, the book, and then Ballad came out in 2018. So that was like an 8 year like gap between those books in this world. And then Sunrise came out this year. It came
Hmm.
out this year.
Yep, it came out in March.
Okay, so 2018 to 2025. That's a
7.
7 year. That's a 7 year
Yeah.
difference. I don't know what she's gonna do next. I mean, if she's like really comfortable just sticking in this world that of the world of Panem and like exploring these characters, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I know
But,
she was doing a trilogy of prequels.
oh, she's doing
So,
a trilogy.
yeah, she did President Snow and his games, the 10th one, and then Hayman's game in the 50th. And I don't know who else she's doing, if it's Finnick or Joanna or what other game she's doing a perspective before we get to Katniss and Peeta's games.
I would have been curious to see what the Dark Days would have looked like,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe what the very first Hunger Games was like. I don't think it would be quite as exciting or interesting as like the ones that came after it, because it's kind of like the
They were,
first part.
yeah, they were
It's
still
like,
figuring it out.
yeah, they're laying up the groundwork of what these games would become. But I think it's interesting to see like the primitive era, like the primitive starts of like what these games looked like in the beginning. I think I think Valid did dabbled a little bit into that. I'm not
Hmm.
sure.
It was
Did
the
they?
10th Hunger
Okay,
Games.
so it was a little bit it was still a little bit in its infancy.
Hmm. There was a lot more cheating in it, a lot more help from sponsors,
Hmm.
capitals. Their mentors got more involved.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, that's like they had more rules in place because of all of it.
I'll look forward to reading it then eventually, because I do want to read these. I do want to read the rest of the series.
Yeah, the only thing about like the movie didn't do what else. I just don't like when we get too much backstory on villains
Yeah.
and they try to make them sympathetic.
Oh yeah.
It just drives
Mhm.
me crazy. And Snow, she did not do that in the movie. I don't know how the book is, but it's the 10th Hunger Games and he's already an adult and he is in the capital, but he's poorer. He's not one that's super wealthy in the capital, him and his family. And he was a mentor and he did something and he actually was a mentor for District 12. So it made it very interesting.
Hmm. That is interesting.
Yeah, because by the time we see him in the 74th Hunger Games, he's like 80.
Oh,
He's a old man playing around with white roses.
R.I.P. to someone like those phenomenal actors that we have
I
lost in the
know.
movies, like R.I.P. Donald Sutherland, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Hmm.
I know.
I loved him in Twister.
I know. I did too.
Food. well, I think it's come to the point where we talk about what our next read is going to be. And
Okay.
I said before, I wanted to do Clown in a Cornfield,
Mm-hmm.
but I picked this month's book, and I didn't give like you didn't get a chance to. You didn't have your pick yet, Heather. Like, I mean, you picked in the past, obviously, but now it's your
Yeah.
turn to pick a book for us to read.
Oh,
Because then
dang.
I just want to completely
Oh,
take over. It's like this is your show too.
I know. I thought we both agreed for Clown in a Cornfield. Have you
I don't
seen the
know.
movie yet?
I have not. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for it to come on Shutter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna read the trilogy some at some point this month before I watch the movie, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it. But I want you to pick a book for us now for us to read.
Mm.
I mean, you don't have to do it on the
I know.
spot.
I was like, oh no. All right, I'll think of something. I'll try and pick something adult since we just did a YA and Clown in a Cornfield, a BYA.
Something maybe summer related
Yeah.
since we're in June.
Yup.
All right. Well, I don't think nobody showed up in the chat. At least I can see.
Yeah.
Pretty
I can
sure. I'm pretty sure they'll watch the replay though, if they're
Yeah.
interested. Uh,
Gonna try and shoot for the end of June or in July to meet up again.
um, I think the end of like the beginning of June will probably work better.
Beginning of July.
Yeah,
Okay.
the beginning of. Did I say the beginning of June?
Yeah, I was like, okay, so tomorrow.
Oh no, at the beginning of July.
I know it is
I
June.
was
It's
like,
June
because we have
3rd. Okay. Yeah. I'll look. I'll peruse Goodreads and Storygraph and see
all
what
right.
we both have got on our want to read shelves and let you know by
Okay.
this weekend.
Thank you, my book bestie.
Of course, of course.
All right. For those of you watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the Hunger Games, either the book or the movie or both, if you were interested. And this is Brandon the Build. I'm signing off,
And I'm Forehead Heather.
and we will see you next month or in July for our next
Yes.
We Are the Weirdos book club. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Happy Hunger Games. You may the odds be ever in your favor.